So welcome to Carter in the Car at night. So Lydia and I are going to be in the car certain evenings, driving around Bahrain, chatting to you all out there. Got a nice little LED light up there to light our faces, and hopefully we'll cover some awesome subjects, awesome topics. But today we'll be talking about the car itself.
I love this car.
Why is that?
Because it's red and silver, and those colours are awesome. And also, when you put your foot down, it really goes.
Whoa!
Woo!
So yeah, this car's great. I've got it in kind of mediocre condition, or pretty bad condition, a few years ago, and it was sitting in a garage for 7 years, looking rather sad for itself, or feeling sorry for itself. Got it from a friend who got it on the road for us, basically, and then it was kind of a lot of work from there to get it running safely. But yeah, after about 6 months, the car's running hunky-dory. The roof has always been a problem because of the heat and the hydraulics, but otherwise, it's been like a self-healing car. Things started coming back to life, so after a few months, this started working and that started working, so it's been a really interesting process. So here we are in Budaya. Budaya is sort of the northern, I always get confused.
Yeah, northern, definitely northern.
Northeastern part of Bahrain?
No, northwest.
Sorry, north, south, east, west. Always get east and west confused.
Never eat shredded wheat.
That's right.
Especially if you're on the keto diet.
Yeah. And Budaya is a little kind of funky little hub that I love coming to. It's got some great eating places, awesome grill places. And around now it gets a bit busy, so you're going to see a bit of neon lights and a bit of action. It's a very cool little area. I like it around here.
Yeah.
It's kind of funky and groovy.
So Jason and I have different sort of places that we like. Jason likes all the sort of like real kind of nitty gritty kind of places, with the ones he calls like the real places, and
yeah.
So we sort of meet in the middle somewhere.
Yeah, I love these places. All the neon lights and stuff for sale, bartering galore. I speak a bit of Hindi, so it's always fun to go in the shops and barter with the guys in Hindi. That always works.
Yeah.
Ah, the smell of grills. You know, we're on a diet right now and I'm craving a bit of grilled meat.
Yeah, we decided to go on a 40-day raw fast. So we're only having raw food, as in raw vegan. Watch the speed bump.
Right.
Coming up any minute now. We're going on raw vegan for 40 days. So we've just had, you know, nuts and fruit and veggies. And yeah, it's going quite well.
We're on day 3.
Yeah. Day 1 was awesome, except yeah, I had a few stomach issues because we had a curry the night before. Not a good idea. And so yeah, day 3 is better.
Nice. The great thing about Bahrain is that one minute you're in the sort of hustle and bustle of Budaya, for instance, and the next minute you're by the open sea. And so we're just now arriving at the beach in Budaya. It suddenly gets very quiet and you can sit in peace and look out and contemplate life over a very dark ocean.
So Jason, tell us a bit more about this kind of car, because I'm a bit of a kind of car numpty. I don't really know anything about cars, although I do have a way of getting in a car, listening to it and knowing what's wrong with it, which is kind of funny really, but yeah.
She's very good at that. I'm not really a mechanic, but I did do mechanical engineering for 3.5 years after leaving school at 16. So I've got a basic understanding of how engines work. However, this engine is slightly more complicated, even though it's still from 1995.
Very complicated.
It's kind of complicated. However, there's certain bits and pieces that I do on a regular basis in the car myself to keep it in good condition, keep it running tickety-boo. But this car, because it's a German car in the desert, and so the heating and the cooling system, if there's anything slightly wrong with it, it will overheat.
Yeah.
And this has been the biggest problem with this car since we had it. So first, there was a massive hole in the radiator and the car just wouldn't go. I mean, I didn't even notice. And then the water pump broke down, and then the fan broke down, and then the radiator cap sort of leaked. And so I find that, you know, because of the heat, the pressure builds up, and this car has to be really watched in terms of the cooling system because of the weather. But now winter's coming, it's going to be a bit easier. I see the temperature's really good now. The guy fixed it really well. Thanks, Morty. We'll get Morty in the car. I asked him tonight when I got the car from him. I said, "Do you want to get in the car and do a show?"
Oh, cool.
He said, "Yeah."
Yeah, good.
But there's been some major things that have gone wrong with this car. The first thing was, when the car overheated because of a cooling problem, I cracked the cylinder head. No, I didn't crack it, but
It's cracked itself.
it cracked itself, yeah. And so I was trying to drive a car with a cracked cylinder head, and that was quite a few weeks of the car in the garage. And luckily in Bahrain there are lots of really awesome people who fix cars for not much money, and the bill for that was not very much at all, but it took weeks and weeks and weeks. The second major thing with this car was that the gearbox was shot after a while.
Yeah.
And the car was just sitting outside the house gathering dust because it couldn't drive it safely anymore. And so I went around all the scrapyards that I could find in the area where we live, looking for gearboxes. And one day, I went to Hamala, found an old shack with the hand-painted Mercedes emblem on outside. And I said, I was thinking, this is my last day of looking. If I can't find a gearbox today, I think we'll just get rid of the car. Sadly, I know. I was actually looking at other cars online.
Really boring ones.
No, they weren't boring at all.
Compared to this one, anything's boring.
True. And I said to this guy, have you got a gearbox for a Mercedes SL320 or even SL500? They're similar. And he said, unfortunately, no. And a voice from behind me said, I've got two. And so there's this really awesome Syrian guy. He's got a funky, awesome Mercedes garage in Hamala. He said, come with me. So I went to his garage and he showed me these gearboxes. He said, bring your car in. This is the Thursday. So I took it on Thursday. And by Saturday morning he called me and it was ready. I couldn't believe it. But in the process of changing the gearbox, he discovered loads of other things, which were the engine mounts.
Yeah, the engine mountings were so loose that actually...
Engine mountains?
Mountings.
Mountings. Oh, yeah.
The engine mountings, not the mountains. I don't know. The engine would have been just like a pile of a mountain if it had fallen through, which had nearly happened because those roads were so bumpy to get to this garage.
Yeah.
And when they finally got the car, they discovered that the engine was like hanging by a thread.
It was, yeah. Plus the front suspension shocks were shot, so the engine could have fallen out quite easily because going over a speed bump, there are many speed bumps in Bahrain, it could have just fallen on the floor. And that would have meant that the suspensions would have come through the bonnet, engine would have dropped on the floor, and the car would have been a write-off, to be honest. But yeah, this car's on the road again and it's running better than ever. I had a slight electrical problem fixed last week, and my gosh, it's never been so fast. We're not on the open road here, so I won't put my foot down, but man, this car really goes. It's really light.
Yeah, it's a great car. So if you ever want to get a classic car, I'd recommend the SL320.
Yeah, amazing.
Amazing car.
And compared to the cars in Bahrain, I mean, most of the cars are gas guzzlers. I mean, you know, 4 5-litre engine, 4-wheel drives. And this car is so economical compared to those cars. So for 10 dinar, which is 20 UK pounds, I can fill her up, which is amazing. In the UK, that cost me at least 4 times that. So thanks for listening. This is Carter's in the Car at Night. And this is Car Talk. We'll be back with another episode soon, so stay tuned, subscribe and share.
Bye for now.
Bye.